Hey everybody, today we're going to be talking about how to properly set the center shot on your compound bow using a center shot gauge. And I'm also going to show you a couple other things that you could do with a center shot gauge that's sort of a bonus when you buy the tool. So let's get right into the video and I'll show you guys how to set the center shot. Now if you look at this, you can tell just by looking at this arrow that it's going to be setting just a little bit in. The rest needs to come out to this direction here in order to get the rest set center. Now, you can do this two ways by eyeballing it. Some people have the ability to do that. I've been known to get lucky and get it right a couple of times, but I always like to go with my center shot gauge. I got it right here. This is a brand new Pull & Archery center shot gauge. What we do is you'll come over to one side of the riser and you just find a flat spot anywhere you want. Just find it like say right there. Okay? You're going to put this little knob that's adjustable. This whole thing will slide closer and farther apart, just depending on your brace height and how far your string is. It'll slide like that. So you go ahead and find a flat spot on your bow and you hold it there tight, and you slide the rod out and you're going to bring it around to where that little bead is behind the string. You go ahead and tighten down your nut here at the front, and then you want to line the bead up with the string. And you get it just like so. That way you've got it directly in line with the string. I need to get it a little bit better than that though. It's a little bit off. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so now it's splitting the string. And then all you have to do is put your arrow back on the rest, flip it around so that the 90-degree bend is facing away from you, and you'll see you can't see the little bead from the camera angle. Let's move the camera over just a little bit. And you're going to see as I drop it down, it's nowhere near where the arrow is. The arrow is actually needs to be over here to where it's in the center. So now all we have to do is we're going to just break the nut loose on the bottom of our rest, and we're going to slide the rest over. Okay, now we've got our arrow rest moved over. We're going to go ahead and double check one more time. We make sure our bead, as you can see, hits dead center of the top of the arrow shaft. We flip that puppy around again. Same spot on the riser of the bow, and it splits that nock in half. That's exactly how you want it to be. You're basically getting the string and the arrow and the rest 100% lined up so that it's going to be dead center of the bow. Okay, now we're setting this one up on a fixed position rest. This is actually one of David Pullen's products that he sells. It's called the conversion kit for the full draw. And what it does is this gives the ability for us to put the rod in it and be able to lock this bow at full draw. I wanted to show you guys on this because this is actually the stationary static model of his setup. He also has a drop-away arrow rest model that's just come out. Anyhow, that's how you do it on this type of rest. Now, if you're going to set it up on a drop-away rest, it's the same exact procedure. You just want to make sure that your drop-away arrow rest is either set in the upright position if it's the kind that'll set up, or you'll just have to hold it in the full upright position in order to get the measurements with the center shot gauge. Okay, I told you guys that this center shot gauge would do more than just check your center shot. Here in a second, I want to show you a couple of things that it can do besides the center shot. Let's go over them first. Number one is it can check your idler lean and your cam leans. Sometimes over the period of having a bow and shooting it a lot, the strings and cables will tend to stretch. Sometimes wide cables will stretch. It'll cause your cams to be able to lean because the limbs are twisting a little bit. This is a great tool to find that out. If you notice, it's bent on a 90-degree angle. Well, this is perfect for checking your arrow height. You know, it gets your arrow in 90 degrees with your string. It can also check your tiller height and give you a precise tiller measurement, you know, so it comes in handy for that. Well, these are just a few things that it can do, so let's go over them real quick and I can show you guys how you do it. We're going to check the top cam for cam lean, and what we're going to do is we're just going to bring the bow down here to where we can see it. You have to forgive the dust, it's been hanging on the shelf for a while, and it's really simple to do. What you want to do is you just take the little knob that slides, and you're going to put it on the side of your limb, anywhere you want. The limb is flat, you know, it just has to be a flat spot. You want to hold it on there with one hand. Then you just take the end of it where the bead is, you bring it over, And I like to try to get it right on the tippy top of this dude. Go about like right here. And you want to get it right in the center, like so, of that top cam. And you're going to line it up. You can see. Then you just take it off and you want to put it on the bottom and see if the bottom of it lines up like that. Okay? Now, some cases you may have to move this, but move it. So it's really not that big a deal, because you can take this, loosen the knob, and slide it closer if you need to get it closer, just because the distances can vary on some bows, and you can extend it out. It's going to stay the same as long as you don't move the bead. If you do, just go back, set the bead back to where it was in the center of the cam. You can check your tiller measurement. The tiller measurement is from where the limb and the riser meet out to the string. It's easily done. You just move the little bead over to where it's out of the way. You take your 90 degrees short end and you put it up there, right where that little corner comes together. You bring it in to where you get your side adjustment knob lined up with the string. You just put it right on the edge of the string, and there you got it lined up. Okay. Then all you have to do is take that. You're going to come down here to the bottom, and you're going to reference this, and it's going to show you that you've got perfect alignment here. Or in some cases you don't, and then you're going to have to make limb adjustments. Okay, now we're going to check the knock height. Now, you know, with this gauge, you're going to be able to get your arrow at 90 degrees. Now, if you start to think about something, we're working with a single tool in two dimensions, or kind of in two planes. You're working on your center shot, which is your windage adjustment. You're working on your arrow level, which is going to be your elevation adjustment. Okay? So you basically are going to create a crosshair. Everything's lined up dead center crosshair right behind the knock of the arrow where the string is located. And we got a 90 degree here. What I do is I take the little knob off the end. It just slides right off. You've got the bead. Just pull the bead around, slide it off. Don't lose it. Don't be like me and lose it all the time. Then you just take your wire that you have in a 90 degree angle. You lay it right on top of the string, just like this. It's perfectly lined up with the string. And then you're going to bring it down to where it comes down to the top of the arrow shaft. And what you want to do is it should make pretty good contact. I mean, you're not going to be 100% perfect. You can tell this knock is actually a little high, or the rest is a little bit low. In this case, the rest is going to be a little bit low because we haven't actually adjusted it until now. It's the first time we've even done it. So what I'm going to have to do to correct that is I'm just going to have to bring up my arrow rest just a smidge there. I mean, I'm talking about just barely bring that puppy up, and it's going to be right on target. So that's another thing that the center shot gauge will do. Okay, well, first thing you got to do is you just take and go right back to the same flat spot that you had before on the outside of the riser. It'll work just fine. Put it on there. Go ahead and get your bead set to the center of your arrow shaft again, like that. And then you can bring it up and go ahead and you can loosen the nut again on the side, and you can slide this thing back to where that bead will line up to your pins. All you have to do to make the bead line up to the pins is just loosen the housing, the gang setting, and then slide the entire gang, the entire housing over to where you get it lined up with the beads. Well, there you go. Turns out that the center shot gauge is the multi-tool for tuning. It'll cover a lot of different settings on the bow, which is very important. If you guys out there have ever tuned your own bow or even had any issues, this thing is a fast way to check stuff too. If something could get knocked off, man, you can reference. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, everything's back in line. It takes 5 minutes. No batteries required, no laser beams or anything like that. It works really great. But if you guys are interested in picking one of these up, they're available 2 places. You can pick them up at the bowtuningtips.com store. There's a link right at the bottom of this YouTube video if you're watching it there. Or you can go to pullinarchery.com and you can buy them directly from Pullin Archery. Well, I hope this tip helped you out, and I hope you learned a lot of stuff about the center shot gauge and a bunch of different uses that you can have with it. Until next time, stay tuned. I'll see you then.